Alright guys, time for the Q&A, so let's get started. We're gonna start this off with Goodfellas 1001. And he asked me 5 questions. First question is, favorite movie of all time? Well, I hate to disappoint you, Goodfellas, but I don't really have a favorite movie of all time. I have favorite movies, but no, I don't have a favorite all-time movie. Sorry about that. I can't really answer that specifically. I always get that. I always mess up that word. Anyway, favorite action scene or movie? Action scene? Probably one of my favorite action scenes, I should say, comes from, there's the huge 7-minute fight in the Hidden Kingdom between, I think that's the name of the movie I'm thinking of Jackie Chan and Jet Li. That whole 7-minute fight was just epic. Like, the movie could have just ended right there and I would have been like, okay, I'm done, and walked out of the theater. But yeah, there's a good example. Favorite villain. When you say favorite villain, I'm not really, I don't have a specific favorite villain. I have favorite villains from genres, like my favorite Marvel Comics villain is Ultron, and my favorite DC villains I should say, it's a tie between Sinestro and the Joker. And for cartoon villains, it's Chase Young from Xiaolin Showdown, stuff like that. So I don't really have a favorite villain. Your fourth question is favorite hero-villain rivalry. I've always dug the rivalry between Sephiroth and Cloud. Always dug that rivalry. Who else? The rivalry between I wouldn't really call them hero and villain, but I always dug the rivalry between Vegeta and Goku. I wouldn't really call it hero-villain, but it started out as like hero-villain stuff, so that right there. I also enjoyed the rivalry between Magneto and Charles Xavier. I've always enjoyed that. And Batman the Joker hero-villain rivalry. And your fifth and final question is favorite X-Men character. Now, as for those who saw my top 10 favorite Marvel heroes, Wolverine was on the list. Now, you're probably wondering, is he my favorite X-Men? No, because that's for Marvel heroes in general. Now, if you want to go technical and the favorite X-Men on the team, I always when I say Marvel heroes, when I put Wolverine on the list, Wolverine because he's now part of the Marvel universe. He's on a bunch of teams, so I figured why not. But if you want to go with X-Men characters to just X-Men characters, it's Colossus. Colossus is my favorite X-Man. Well, actually, no, it's a tie between Colossus and Gambit. All right. Those two are my favorite X-Men right there on the team. I've always wanted Colossus and Gambit on other teams because I thought those two would make great Avengers. I thought they would make great other teams. It doesn't need to be just Wolverine and Beast. Beast is now in the Secret Avengers. I've always wanted, I've always wanted the other X-Men characters outside of Beast and Wolverine, to be other X-Men. So there's that. And thank you, Goodfellas. Thank you for those questions. Okay, we're gonna move on to Ziploc Gory. Ziploc Gory asked me also 5 questions. First one is your hottest comic book babe. Man, that's a hard question. I'm gonna go with Catwoman. I know, basic question for a lot of comic book geeks, but it's Catwoman. She's hot. First hot character, official hot character ever. So, yeah, there's your answer right there. Favorite. Oh wait, excuse me. Your second question is best superhero costume in your opinion. Well, I don't know if you watched this, but I did a top 10 video on when Wonder Woman got the costume change, the jacket and all that. I did a top 10, and the number 1 costume is, my favorite costume is the Azazel Batman costume. I always thought that was really cool, this really badass and sinister looking armor and that could easily go toe to toe with the likes of Bane and come out on top. You know, that was my that's my favorite costume. A lot of people don't like it for some reason. I really dig it. I don't know why people don't like it. I think it's really cool. But your next question is best cartoon theme song in your opinion. First off, as much as a bad cartoon it was, the Wildcats theme was really fun. I always enjoyed that. I could play that like 80 times and still love it. The other one is the other theme I like is the 90s X-Men theme. I love that one. Also with the 90s Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man themes. Love those. There's a few, a lot of the 90s stuff, like the Street Sharks theme, the not the Wildcat, yeah, I already said Wildcats, the SWAT Cats theme, that was fun. You know, a lot of and the Darkwing Duck theme, you know, just to name a few. Oh, and DuckTales. DuckTales too. Your fourth question is, if you had a Green Lantern ring, what type of constructs would you make? You know, something really unique, like Kyle, I'd make battle armor suits, maybe like a dragon, knights, anything I can use to my disposal and command, basically. Just a lot of cool, imaginative creations, stuff like that. Your fifth question, and your fifth and final question is, what comic book would you like to see get a video game made on the same quality as Batman Arkham Asylum? There are a few. First off, I'd love to see a game based on the, what was it? I'm sorry, I totally lost it. I'd like to see a Secret 6 game. I'd like to see the game on that. I would like to see X-Men Inferno or X-Men Age of Apocalypse game. That'd be really cool. The only other Spider-Man story arc I want to see that could transition to a game is probably like a not Secret 6, Sinister 6 fight, like a game like that. Like to see a Venom game, like a pure Venom game. You know, stuff like that. For DC, it would have to be like I've always wanted to see I think you could actually do Our Worlds at War, that story arc in DC Universe. Our Worlds at War, where you had Apocalypse and Earth had to work together to stop Imperiex. I thought that could work as like kind of like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game. I think that would be pretty cool. But anyway, thank you for the questions, Ziploc Gory, Victor. And we're gonna move on now to T Greymaster 107. She asked me only one question. Which old cartoon do you believe would make a great live-action movie? I would like to see like a Street Sharks movie. I think that'd be pretty cool. You know, the CGI has gotten to the point where the sharks would look cool. I'd really like to see those kind of movies. I think Ben Kingsley could actually play the main villain in there. I think he'd be pretty cool. I forget the main villain's name, but you know who I'm talking about for those who watch Street Sharks. I don't know who I'd cast, but you know, I'm never good with casting, but yeah, that's who I'd pick. But thank you for the question, T Gray. We're going to move on to Mega Shadowtail. She also, this is another girl who asked me one question, and she asked me, who's your favorite character in Stormhawks? You know, it's like you, Mega Shadow. It's Repton. I really dig him. I know he's a villain character and he's not really used. He's used a lot, but not really like to the extent of they don't really develop his character like that. Falls into a lot of the main a lot of the Stormhawks characters that they don't really develop them enough to make them like people don't really find them interesting. They can just. This is why I like a lot of fan fictions like this, where you don't really know a lot of their background or why they do this or why they do that. Because you can, with fan fiction writers, you can really play around with the origin, because you don't really know the whole canon origin. So you can do whatever you want and call it canon in your stories. So, that explains it. And I do like the whole Repton Starling pairing. I really dig that. It reminds me, if you've ever watched Dragon Ball Z, I always thought of it as a Vegeta Bulma relationship. But yeah, that's my favorite character right there. The other ones I would say his favorite characters are like, his brothers Spitz, Hork, and Louis, Master Cyclonus, Finn, Junko, Suzy Lou, a lot of the miscellaneous Starling, a lot of the miscellaneous characters basically, but Repton's my number one. But thank you for the questions. Thank you for the question, Mega Shadow Tail. We're gonna move on now to the Mount Vernon kid. Oh wait, someone else got the question before him, so I'll have to hold off because he asked me a lot of questions. But the guy before him, because I want to do this straight down, is the next one is the Proto Alex, who asked me 2 questions. Thoughts on Superboy coming to Smallville? Well, he's already been on. I didn't watch that episode of Superboy, but my friend Ziploc Gory Victor, he told me the episode was bad. I personally don't think it's a good idea to have Superboy. It just feels weird because Clark's still young, and I know it's just totally new universe, but all that. But I heard it wasn't a great episode. The guy in there, however, Victor did tell me that he looked a lot like Connor Kent from the comics, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I just thought it was always weird. Darkseid was in the. I was told that Darkseid was in the episode, but meh. I don't know. It's really going out there. And your second question, Proto Alex, is who would win, Spider-Man or Superboy? I don't know if you know this or not, but in the Marvel vs. DC comics, when the Marvel Universe fought the DC Universe, Spider-Man and Superboy did fight. And Spider-Man won. Spider-Man beat Superboy in a fight. It was kind of an interesting battle. It wasn't long, but Spider-Man managed to incapacitate Superboy and managed to knock him out and managed to beat him in a fight. But it does stand. But I can't remember if it was Ben Reilly, the clone of Spider-Man, or originally Peter Parker who fought him. But yeah. Spider-Man did beat Superboy in a fight. Now we're going to move on to Mount Vernon Kid. I'm going to wrap up some of his questions in here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm actually going to do a lot of his questions in the next part. So stay tuned for that.